Yeah, just a couple things to start out. Obviously, big win for our team. Inevitably, you don't want to be in situations where you have to come back from two separate, uh, double-digit 10-point plus deficits in a football game, but to have a divisional opponent, in our building and to find a way to win that football game. There's a lot of things we can correct, a lot of things that jump out that we can continue our evolution as a football team in all three phases to be at our best when it's required, but was proud of the way our team stuck together and a lot of the things we've talked about from a culture standpoint. Show up in those moments, especially coming off of last Monday night, then to be down 14-0. It was a real big moment for our team to respond. Now we've got to know that we've done that, but not necessarily need to do that if we're playing as well as we think we can moving forward. So, injury update wise, Dalvin Cook will be day to day. He's pretty sore today, but obviously something he's familiar with kind of his shoulder. He's tough. He's ready. He's ripping ready to try to get back out there and go. But we'll take it day to day. I'll keep you guys updated throughout the week on where he's at, and for the most part, going to see how Andrew Booth turns over. And hoping to get him back into the mix practice wise this week, throughout the week, and obviously Harrison Smith will be we think pretty much ready to go. He's kind of cleared the protocols. We'll kind of limit his contact early on in the week, but the expectation is that Harry will be able to go in London. So with that, I'll turn it over to you guys and fire away.
We'll start with Joe, Chris, and then Don. Joe, you're muted.
Sorry, Joe, you're muted there.
I make more sense muted. That comeback ability, is that something that a team learns, and is that something that you expect will pay dividends down the line because there are so many close games in this league?
Yeah, I think you just learn by experience and trusting in the fact that you can't, there was no flinch on our sideline. Obviously, some frustration at times of things we could have done better to not put ourselves in those situations, but at the same time to know that we can stay true, stay the course, stay true to what we want to try to be as a football team. But also at the same time, know in those moments when your best is required, we can rely on a lot of players on our team to show up and make plays and win their individual one-on-one matchups. When teams have plans for some of our players on offense and defense to try to take them away or at least limit their impact on the game, some guys can show up and really make some plays at some big moments. And was really proud of our team for being able to do that. And I do think, Joe, that it helps you moving forward to know that we've done it. Obviously at home with the support of our home crowd there, but at the same time, we may have to do it on the road. We may have to do it in tougher environments where things are against us a little more. And we'll rely on that experience yesterday to hopefully do that.
Hey, Kevin, just two quick things, if you don't mind. Just a clarification on Dalvin. Is that a dislocated shoulder he has?
I think the correct term, I think, is sublex. I think that was used for me, which I do think means kind of in and out type of thing. He not something that is new to him. I know it's, having not been around him previous years, I know he's dealt with that at times. But I think it's something that he's prepared to try to play with, while also knowing that we're going to do what's best for him to make sure that we can have him as much as possible through the ins and outs of the rest of the season. So we'll take it. It truly is a day-to-day thing, see how kind of the management goes with it. But he wants to be out there with his teammates. He's one of our leaders, and we'll kind of assess that as the week goes on.
And then just to follow up, just talk about Christian Darrisaw's play. I mean, we've got him coming up here on the call, and he just seemed to have a really solid game there going against Aiden Hutchinson and just an all-around fine outing.
Yeah, I thought across the board our offensive line had a pretty solid outing with how we were able to run the football, obviously get that going a little bit. And then when we needed to, in those moments where we had to drop back, they gave Kirk enough time where he could go through his progressions and really try to isolate some matchups that we wanted to try to get after. But CD's had a really great start to his season. I think he continues to kind of take the next steps with where he's at, in his growth as a player. He was really physical in the run game. He was really solid in pass pro, and just played with a real poise and kind of an understanding of kind of the matchup that you talked about with a good young player, and just was consistent across the board. And performances like that from CD are really what we expect at this point with where he's at. And I'm just really excited about the trajectory he's on as a player, and just continuing to evolve and becoming, one of the premier left tackles, I think, in football is where he's headed.
Hi, Kevin. I know you have a couple more hours to enjoy your Central Time victory, but out of the gate, you guys have it really hard where you have 4 different game times, 3 different time zones. How do you personally, but also the team, kind of get on a different schedule, or how are you handling that? Are you calling it Viking time? Are you letting the players do it individually? Is there a group plan for it? Because that's a lot to deal with mentally as well as physically with jet lag and sleep and all of that.
Yep, and I think we're going to try to stay on, Central Time, Viking time, whatever. I might use that, but we're going to try to stay on that. At least give these guys a normal week up until when we depart. So we'll do some things a little bit differently, from moving up some portions of the days just to be able to squeeze a little bit more in Wednesday and Thursday before we depart. But then once we do once we do travel and we get on the plane, just trying to be as dialed in with that travel, with that transition once we touch down in London. I'm actually going to have Tyler Williams spend a few minutes with you guys on Wednesday, just to make sure you guys can get ultra clarity on what our plan of attack is, because we do have a real clear cut plan for our guys, minute to minute when we get there, based upon some of our veteran players' experiences of leaving at previous trips to London, when they left, how they felt on certain portions of the trip. Understanding it's not ever going to be perfect. It's not ever going to be ideal when you do travel this far for a game on a game week coming off of a few different times of 3 weeks and 3 different starts so far this year. So it's going to be a transition for our guys, but we're going to rely on our sports performance folks and make sure where we can help and try to eliminate some of those factors, we will do that. So like I said, Tyler will hit some of those things on Wednesday just to give clarity on our plan of attack. And then ultimately it's about having a good week of practice and prep like we did last week, making sure that, we're ready to go compete to win a game against a really good team. It'll be the same thing this week against a really good team that, we got a lot of respect for.
I mean, you hate to say the term buy-in, but I know even a couple of weeks ago, the guys were saying kind of in the locker room, we already know, we don't care what time zone, what continent, if it's Monday Night Football or whatever game time it is, we're just going to focus on that. So to have them have that mental preparedness, that helps as well, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's part of the process leading up to this week. Is you can talk a lot about it, but now we have to go put a plan into place and go execute that plan. You kind of cut out there for a little bit, Don. So if I missed anything of what you were asking, please circle back and fire away. But I totally agree that whether you call it buy-in or just guys understanding that they have hopefully set up their individual routines of how they go about their week, of not only turning over and feeling their best from the previous week, but then making sure that their prep physically and mentally is where they need it to be at their best, Sunday in London.
No, that was perfect. Thank you.
We'll go to Ben, Kevin, and Alec.
Yeah, Kevin, you kind of talked, and I think Kirk did yesterday a little bit too, about the offense not being quite where you're hoping it is or where you want it to be at. I guess, how will you guys know when it's there, or what will it look like when it's at that point where it's where you want it?
Yeah, I think what it'll look like, just a little bit more consistent across the board, so we don't sometimes, for whatever reason, it can be one of 11 that there's just some indecisiveness somewhere across the board of guys doing their jobs, depending on the look. We're seeing some different things that maybe teams have done previously just with our personnel and how they want to defend us, things they want to kind of feature against us. And I think just the inventory of snaps, Ben, as you go throughout the season, you can start there's some things that you'll start being able to in real time, maybe not always need sideline discussions. We can, know the things, although we've talked about a lot throughout the week, our guys can start having those tools at their disposal, and they do, but it's just, can we activate them and then execute them in real time when things are moving fast during that 3.5 hour window? And I think that's when, we'll start seeing it, the consistency factor be there a little bit. I thought, I was happy with the way we were able to run the football, marry the run and the pass a little bit, but just some early on execution, even, a tip ball on the first play pass, and then we kind of get into a 2nd and 10 and just Kirk Cousins to Justin Jefferson on a pretty short route there. I expect those guys 10 out of 10 to make that play, and now we're not in a 3rd and 10 or possibly leading into a long field goal op for Greg. Maybe it's a 3rd and 4 and we convert and take advantage of our ops there. But I think it's just snap in and snap out, the consistency of guys doing their job with great detail, maybe against some looks, quite honestly, that we don't get sometimes from our defense throughout training camp or in joint practices, and we're just continuing to evolve. And we are still just 3 games into officially, our guys running this system and this offense. So there's going to be some times where we've got to, try to have that learning curve happen on the fly. And we've got such talented players that, we feel strongly about when they do that and when they feel comfortable completely. The execution will be just a little bit more consistent across the board, and we'll be at our best. Thanks, Ben.
Kevin, you've been talking, I think since shortly after you were hired, about being aggressive before halftime and those couple minutes before halftime and how that can impact the rest of the game. I just wondered, what's the background of your thought process there? Where, if anywhere, did you sort of pick that up, or how did you develop that thought that was a priority for you?
Yeah, I just think it's controlling what you can control, Kevin. And when you have, I think there was, I don't know the exact number, we were backed up a little bit at end of half yesterday, 41 seconds, maybe, whatever it was. Just the mindset of, hey, we can control kind of the first down success. We throw a screen there to the tight end and get 13, 14 yards and able to kind of then assess from there with our timeout. Okay, here's where we're at. We know we're in a down clock situation. We're expecting to try to get maybe a couple chunks and then give Greg another chance at a long field goal, or possibly even a throw at the end zone, depending on how it shakes out, where exactly we are. And those are situational based. But as far as where I learned that, I think it's just been a mentality on, from either being around, a great situational coach my first year as a player in this league in New England and Coach Belichick, but then also the aggressiveness, of how we handled things in LA, of knowing, hey, 3 points here can be a huge thing, a momentum thing, especially knowing that we do get the football coming out. And obviously we didn't get points to end that half. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to get that thing clocked. So we thought there was enough time there. And it just did not work out for whatever reason. But, then obviously not to make anything happen with our first drive of the second half, I was disappointed in. Like some of the things we were planning on getting to, didn't get a lot on that first down play run. And then, the play pass on second down just didn't really come to fruition, had some early pressure, and Kirk had to get rid of it. And that's where we can continue to be better, giving our guys a plan coming out of half and making sure that the things we do put into action, get us off to a good start there and kind of set the momentum for our team.
And just real quick, how do you balance that with the possibility of a mistake right before half doing the opposite of what you intend to do?
Yeah, I think it's that 1st and 10 play is important to kind of determine where we'll go from there and the level of aggression we'll have. It's an evolving thing throughout the success of that early down. But yeah, I think, I think it's a lot of it is just the confidence we have in our guys and in Kirk to make good decisions and understand kind of the risk reward in that moment might be different than other times in the game, where you're either playing just normal football or it's possibly an end of game type of 2 minute we had to go win it.
We'll go to Alec and then Matt, and then we'll wrap and have Jonathan Bullard join.
Yeah, hey Kevin. You talked a little bit yesterday about just the way they defended Justin, but I'm curious, as you look back at the tape or thought about it more, what stood out most about just how their plan and what they showed you guys defending him?
Yeah, I think he had about 8 or 9 total snaps, Alec, in the game where he didn't have like some variation of a double, and not all doubles are the same. I thought they tried to be very physical with him at the line of scrimmage, almost to a point where a couple of times they were flagged, throwing him on the ground and things like that. I think the most important thing for Justin is just a continued evolution of understanding, hey, obviously he's had a ton of success in this league, but he's going to start year 3 in this system, people kind of understanding the targets are going to come his way. He's going to see different variations of defenses that he's going to have a plan for. We're going to have a plan for him that obviously allows him to kind of move within our offense, but still stay true to who we want to be. But yeah, I thought for the most part, the plan of attack was to be physical, both at the line of scrimmage and then down the field. And I think that's where you saw a few times where the flags did come out. We'll continue to evaluate kind of how people play him without or within the different confines of our scheme. And I think it changes down to down. First and second down can be a plan, and then they can have that third down plan with how it all ties in together. And I think, our tight ends, between the 3 of them, really having some real production, two catches, I think, a piece, 2 to 3 catches. And then obviously Justin and KJ coming alive. I thought there were some more plays to be had, and we just didn't quite execute those. And then early on, we missed some chances, to get Justin some touches early on in that game that might have got him going a little bit early on, and then maybe that carries over. But we got to do a good job, and I have to do a good job, preparing him and equipping him with the things he needs to help him have an impact, no matter how he's being defended.
Hey, Kevin. Yesterday was really maybe the first game where you had to make a lot of in-game decisions, challenges, 4th downs, do you kick a field goal, and so forth. I guess, how would you assess your own performance of balancing calling the plays with dealing with a lot of different situations like that in the game?
Yeah, I thought it went well for the most part. I always want to be aggressive. Thinking back on a few things there, the 4th and 6 on our first touchdown drive. I thought the 3rd and 6 play had a chance to score, just didn't work out, and then felt good about another play call, so didn't really want to hesitate there and just kind of go in that moment. Critical time, I thought, in the game for us to go down and get on the board, go score a touchdown and try to get that thing to 14-7. I was happy with the way we executed the challenge. Obviously, the communication with the guys up top, and kind of in real time thought he was down short of that line to gain. They ended up getting the first down on the 4th down play there, but ultimately, just throughout the game, I did, put a little thought into potentially going for it there in the second half, but I just didn't like the idea of, with that much time left, possibly turning that ball over in a place where the field position would have automatically meant a chance at 3 or more for those guys. So treating that each one as its own, Matt, and understanding that I'm gonna always go with my gut instinct at the time, but with a lot of information from a guy like Mike Pett and Ryan Cordell in real time, understanding what we think is best to try to win the football game. And I don't know if I make decisions differently, if that would have had an effect on coming back from those 2 10-point plus deficits. But I'd like to think our guys were just ready to react and just worry about the next play, all 11 doing their job, and we'll be in good shape. But I'm feeling more and more comfortable. Our line of communication is really solid. And then just my dialogue with the officials throughout the game, maintaining good dialogue with those guys.
I guess just real quick follow-up. I mean, how hectic is that? I mean, when you're having to do those things and communicate, but also keep your focus on how you're going to call the next sequence of plays.
Yeah, I think it helps, honestly, just because there isn't a middle person from when I make the decision to then the play call. There may be on defense, but offensively, when we're going to go for it, there's no hesitation there. The play call can then come in. I can immediately talk to Kirk about, hey, we're going for this here. Here's the thought. Here's the play. Here's the plan. And there doesn't need to be a trigger from me to an offensive coordinator of, hey, we're going. And then they've got to then find the play they like the best. I'm going for it a lot of times with a play in mind. On that third down play call where I thought we had a good chance to activate KJ. I had another thought in my mind for that portion of the field, expecting some variation of a defense where we liked another play. And so once we got the defense we expected on that third down, I either thought they would repeat that call or get to another look out of that similar grouping, which is what happened. So not to get too X's and O's oriented on it, but it does help to be able to make the decision and call the play in real time to eliminate some of that gray for our guys.